Our next speaker is going to share his insight on how blockchain is applied to healthcare. Let's welcome the co-founder and CEO of Health to Sync, Mr. Deng.
Test. All right, good. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to quickly talk about the background and the mission of Health to Sync and how it relates to blockchain and how it would further take us on our mission. So Health to Sync was founded to provide personal and scalable chronic diseases management through analytics and a new class of digital therapy. So ultimately, data is very, very important. We started with diabetes as the product of entry, simply because diabetes is the most complicated to manage amongst all chronic diseases, considering the amount of parameters and the different integral parts that's required for a patient and the care provider to manage diabetes. Diabetes affects 420 million people around the world, half of them in Asia. And in fact, Time magazine calls diabetes the Asian disease. So the Asian phenotype of a typical diabetic is that we experience diabetes with an earlier onset and we face more severe complications. So that also means our payers, such as the government, will face more severe long-term liabilities and payouts. Our company is based in Taiwan. We are a Taiwanese startup. Taiwan is our current largest market. By this time next year, Japan will surpass Taiwan as our largest market. We have an office in Japan. We have an office in Malaysia. And after East Asia, our focus, our vision, will be then the ASEAN countries. As I said, half of the world's diabetics are in this part of the world. Diabetes has no cure. It can only be managed. But to manage diabetes, and if it's not managed properly, it can cause severe complications, such as the ones listed here. So just to put things into perspective, our government, the Taiwanese government, spends $1.5 billion US dollars on dialysis with kidney failure. So Harvard School of Public Health estimates that globally, we spend about $500 billion on diabetes. The complications are preventable, but proper management and real-time care needs to take place. Real-time care is a problem. In Taiwan, the ratio of care providers focused on diabetes to patients is 1 to 900. Some may think this is a ridiculous number. The ratio drops significantly down to 1 to 23,000. This problem will be unmet, will be unsolved in the next 10 years. So what we're trying to do is to solve the lack of data. The existing care methods are not scalable. And number 3, to close the loop. So our solution is comprised of an app that captures data and engages the patient, an analytics platform where the chatbot will interface, intervene, coach, alert the patient, and an analytics platform for the care provider so that they can scale practice and care in hopes of solving the shortage problem that I talked about earlier. We have to make our app and software compatible with the different devices in the market to give users a better patient experience, and care providers care about data integrity. So we are compatible with 80% of the glucometers and now blood pressure meters in the market. With the clear focus on the analytics and the data that we capture, we're now able to predict outcomes specifically around blood sugar of patients. So the government is very, very excited. Government as well as the insurance companies in Taiwan are very, very excited about this platform, about this engagement, about how we can bring better delivery and better predictability around diabetes care or other chronic disease management. While our immediate users are the patients and the care providers themselves, because our service is patient-centric, what we're really trying to do is to connect the ecosystem. The ecosystem includes the payers, like the government, insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies, and device manufacturers. So we're not just an app that engages the patient. In fact, we are building business models around our ecosystem partners, like the insurance companies and the pharmaceutical companies. We're working with the top 3 diabetic pharmaceuticals in the world: Sanofi, Novo Nordisk, and Merck. We will be launching insurance policies bundled with our digital engagement in Malaysia, Taiwan, and later Japan this year and next year. So coming to blockchain and how we leverage blockchain as a technology, right? In the various partners that I just mentioned on the previous page, the number one question that always comes up in the first or second meeting is, do you have consent of patient data? Or if I, as a pharmaceutical partner, if I, as an insurance partner, if I were to leverage that data to deliver better services to the patient, to the consumer, do we have the rights to do that? Right? I see somebody shaking her head. With patient consent, you do. And blockchain is one of the few technologies that we've seen so far. There are other technologies, but blockchain is one of the few technologies that we've seen that can do this on a scalable basis. Patient data is very, very valuable. As Jack Ma says, as the economist says, as Mr. Sean Mosspost was saying, data is the future gold. So patients and doctors are always having 2 critical questions in their mind: secured access and rights protection. Rights protection of the patient's personal health data, right? If we can answer these questions with technology such as blockchain, that gives a chance at liberating personal health data. So again, we're a 5-year-old startup. In the course of the past 5 years, we've seen other technologies. We've developed our own technologies around security, right? But blockchain is one of the few that we've seen right now that brings together a solution that can potentially solve all 4. Security of the data, reliability of the data, control of the data. Control meaning control and ownership, ultimately back to the end user. And lastly, automation. What does automation mean in this case? Executing smart contracts on behalf of the insurance companies or on behalf of our national health, 全民健保, with the individual. Right? Coming back to our mission, patient centricity, right? We believe by leveraging blockchain technology, we are also taking rights and ownership and control of personal health data back to the patient on the same spirit of patient centricity. And only when you liberate and democratize personal health data in a secured way can we see the value of the whole healthcare ecosystem being increased and bringing better delivery to the patients. Now, I do have to thank our investors. Healthcare is a tough industry as we deal with many, many conservative institutions like the government, like insurance companies, like hospitals. So we couldn't do what we do with our supporters of our support from our investors, namely Sampo Holdings, so it's an insurance group in Japan, Alibaba, Intuitive Ventures, which is a venture capital firm very, very active in the ASEAN countries, W.R. Harper Group, and Cherubic Ventures. Thank you very much.